You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
What's going on, guys? So we're going to be talking about all things bookkeeping, cash flow, how to get your ducks in a row with the upcoming year. How's everybody doing? If you guys have questions, leave them in the comments down below. We're going to have Carla from Cycle CPA joining us here in just a quick moment. Super excited about that. All right. How you guys all doing, man? You guys ready to rock and roll? No more worries, Mystic Lawn Care. How you guys all doing? Mass Turf Aeration. All right, so here we go. Run by Cycle CPA here, and let me make sure we got some volume here. All right. Hey, Carla.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All right. We're rocking and rolling. How are you doing today?
Doing good. It's a Thursday, you know?
Almost there, right?
Exactly.
Now where are you guys located? You guys getting some of the warmer weather, colder weather? How's things going over there?
It's still cold. We're in New York, so yeah.
That's awesome.
Looking forward to the springtime here. I'm over winter now.
Yeah, amen to that. We've got another couple of weeks, I think, and we'll be able to kind of rush out the door. But thanks for taking time to join us on the Instagram Live. I'm actually recording this on YouTube as well. So if you guys see me looking this way, I apologize. I'm trying to record this on both and hopefully help you guys out with having the content on both platforms. So Carla, we got probably a good half hour here. We'll probably just jump into it. If you guys are joining us on the live stream, I wanted to get Cycle CPA on with Carla and Joe. They are amazing. Okay, so we've actually had a couple conversations. We decided to partner up. I've been trying to forward you guys to a quality bookkeeper for a while now, and these guys are as passionate about bookkeeping as you guys are about running your company, growing your company, getting new customers, right? So here's the deal. We linked up, I think, maybe early January, and we announced a new partnership with Cycle CPA. So Carla, if maybe folks don't know yet, they probably see me make a couple posts and whatnot already. But why don't you give these guys maybe a minute or two, kind of like the highlight reel, we call it, and let them know who you guys are, where you're from, your background, and what you guys do for bookkeeping.
Yeah, no, my name is Carla. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cycle CPA. We do anything from bookkeeping to CFO advisory level services, and we just specialize in the green industry. And a little bit about my background. So I started off at a CPA firm doing accounting and bookkeeping, just like your typical local firm. You walk in, I'm doing anything from restaurants, books, and hopping over to gym business. And so we couldn't really hone in or help anyone in a specific manner because we're focusing on so many industries at the same time. But the demographic that I was in was very like Latino based. So I happen to have a lot of landscapers and construction workers under my belt. Sure. And so these people are hardworking people. And I became passionate about helping them know their numbers and being able to make educated decisions and smart decisions so that they can grow a more profitable business. And that's why I got into this. So after that, went to work at one of the largest CPA firms. And after I branched out from there, I knew that this was the industry I wanted to focus in on.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, and that's the thing too. There's so many folks that are listening in. We say, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with a team, right? So here's the deal. I learned this last 4 or 5 years with some really good folks that have helped me, coached me, and mentored me in business, having bookkeepers and accountants and bankers, insurance agents, right? So we've been trying to build our team this last 4 or 5 years. And that's what I love about Cycle CPA. The guys that are listening in that are serious about growing a more successful company, they need a good bookkeeper. And so when you guys hopped on my radar, I said, absolutely, I wanted to vet you. You guys wanted to vet me, make sure we were a good fit for each other. But I'm so excited. I'm hearing nothing but great things for the folks that are working with you guys. Before we jump into it, really quick, for you guys that are listening in, if you guys have questions about bookkeeping, cash flow, how to run a more successful company, maybe tax questions, although, probably won't get into that heavy, but good versus bad debt, any of those kind of questions, right? Leave them in the comments. Carla's your girl, and we're going to try to answer them all as best as we can. All right. Also, if you guys want to thumbs the video up or heart the video or like it, whatever we're all doing here, we appreciate the support. So Carla, if you want to jump into it, I guess I don't have any notes here. I got my laptop in front for me to take notes because I'm always trying to learn. But maybe help us out, put the puzzle pieces together. What does a good bookkeeper do? Like, what is a bookkeeper? What's the role of a bookkeeper, and what do you guys do day to day for somebody who signs up with you?
Yeah, so a bookkeeper is anyone who is entering the daily transactions that's happening within the business. Okay. And also keeping your books reconciled and up to date so that you have up to date numbers and financials that you can work off of. But what we do is we set up your chart of accounts within your accounting system so that it looks like Green Industry Chart of Accounts. Okay. And that's really important because we want to make sure that all of your assets, so your trucks, your mowers, trailers are on your books, your loans are in there, and they're being reconciled to, and then all of your direct costs, which consist of your materials, your subcontractor, your labor expense, and then all of your overhead costs are in there. Okay. Once we get you set up with Green Industry Chart of Accounts, then we categorize your transactions every month and then reconcile your books on a monthly basis once those bank statements get released. And so that's a way of us seeing that QuickBooks or whatever accounting system that you use mirrors what's in your bank. And so that way you're not missing, or maybe there's duplicate transactions, and this is how things could get overstated or understated. Once we reconcile the books, then we're ready to send you your financial statements, which consist of your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and your cash flow statement. So we don't stop. Yeah, go ahead. Well,
and I was going to say, this is like the GPS to run your business, right?
Yes, exactly. It is. It really is a compass. But we don't stop there, Brian. We meet with you on a quarterly basis or monthly basis, depending on your business needs. But basically, those are more advisory or CFO level meetings on a quarterly basis. Okay. And there, what we do is we look at your profit and loss in your balance sheet, and we benchmark it against other businesses that are providing the same services that you do or mix of services that you do. And so we're benchmarking it against that and also your size of revenue. Okay. And so we're able to let you know, hey, Brian, it looks like you may be overspending on materials, or your field labor is being inefficient. And then on the balance sheet side, when we benchmark that, we're able to tell you things like maybe you're taking on too much debt. Okay. Or you're not purchasing assets enough. Maybe your field labor could be more efficient with these assets. And we calculate other key performance indicators in that way to give you a better picture of your business.
I love it. I love it. Well, if you guys are joining on, we're talking with Carla with Cycle CPA. They are bookkeepers and can help you guys reconcile your books, get your QuickBooks in order, help you track all of your expenses. It's a real part of the company. It's a real part of the business. My first 10 years were not the most illustrious. And one of the reasons why, beyond not charging, our worth and having great pricing, we didn't have any pulse on the back end of the business. I didn't know what I was making. I mean, I kind of knew what we were doing for gross revenue. And then at the end of the year, minus our expenses and kind of see what you have left. And somehow, hopefully everything matches up. But we didn't have that GPS, day to day, week to week, month to month. We didn't have these reports, for example, that Carla is mentioning. And so, Carla, that's where I want to just ask you a quick question, selfish question here, right? The whole shoebox analogy, I talk about it a lot on my podcast, on my YouTube videos. I have like receipts, on my desk, and I'm putting them in the shoebox. And then at the end of the year, I have like the marketing pile, right? The the car washes, the equipment, my material supplies. It was just a nightmare. And I had 500 receipts, right? And I'm like frantically trying to get this together to give it to my CPA, right? Mm-hmm. So how does a bookkeeper help eliminate that, keep you guys more organized? What's the benefits of a bookkeeper versus somebody who just has the shoebox mentality like I for a long time?
Well, first of all, definitely less paperwork and less of a headache. I feel like if you have a shoebox and you're going to give that to your CPA, first of all, they're going to be angry at you. Like, hey, how are you keeping track of your expenses and then waiting till the end of the year and then waiting for a surprise at the end of the year? Did I make money? Did I not make money? Am I going to owe money in taxes? Am I not?
Right.
So pretty much how we're able to streamline that most of the time is we connect your QuickBooks to your business bank accounts. And so what that does is QuickBooks will then sync with your checking, savings, credit cards, and then download the transactions every day for you. So that makes it really easy for us. We just go in, we see the downloaded transactions, and then we reconcile the transactions from there.
Sure.
And so there may be times where, we may need a receipt. The bookkeeper may need a receipt to just find out more details about the expense. But for the most part, because we do work with the industry and we do get to know your business a lot better before we even touch your books, most of those questions are already answered on the spot. And then if we have any questions about any unusual transactions, we just send out a quick email at the end of each month. Hey, we had questions about these 2 transactions. Can you help us out here? And then we recategorize it as necessary. But you do need to keep your receipts in case of an audit from the IRS for at least 7 years. And those receipts could be digitized. So no need to keep paper.
I love that. I think 7 years, right? Is that what they still say?
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Dennis, M1A1, great questions. So if you guys have questions, do me a solid. Leave them down below. Maybe like the last 6 or 7 minutes, I'll rapid fire to Carla and we'll answer all of those. So if you guys have bookkeeping questions, cost questions, anything like that, we'll try to answer them as we go. And then, of course, make sure we answer them all at the end. Carla, I wrote down a question here. Somebody actually already did have. One is, do you need a bookkeeper if you have a CRM? What if somebody has Jobber, LMN, Yardbook, whatever? You name one, you got to name them all, right? But what if somebody already has a CRM? Isn't that the same as QuickBooks or something like that?
No, it's not. A CRM, it's a customer relationship management tool. That's what it stands for, right? Mm-hmm. It's not an accounting software that keeps track of your income, expenses, assets, loans, and gives you an accurate profit and loss balance sheet and cash flow statement. If your CRM is not giving you those reports, which no CRM is going to give you that, right, you shouldn't be using it. So it's not the same. A CRM should just be used for, maybe they have some invoicing capabilities, but it's really to store customer data, workflows for your business and so on.
I love it. Yeah. And that's something that I get asked a lot. Somebody says, well, I'm on Yardbooks and I kind of track my expenses with my P&L, but it's not really complete, right? Yeah. So, and here's the thing too. Let me ask you this. A personal story. Liz and I, when we first got a bookkeeper, right? It was tough. It was awkward. Just to be honest, like we didn't want somebody to pull down the veil, right? And I want to see if you would mind speaking about that for just a minute or two, like from confidentiality to having a professional help you. Nobody's here to judge you, right? And so when my wife and I got a bookkeeper, she was, honest answer, she was really hesitant. She's like, well, they're going to know what we make and what we don't make. And I said, we need to hire somebody so we can get this thing under control. I said, they already know we don't make a bunch of money. Look at our life. But it is a real reservation, like being transparent and having accountability, right? Like you guys are going to be looking over their shoulder, right? And you want to make sure that whatever that person is buying or putting into their business, it's a real expense. It's a real tool. It's really trying to help them grow. So can you talk about that for a quick second? Like, have you ever had anybody have some hesitancy with signing up because they're going to get a little bit more transparent about their books?
Yeah, it's true. We have seen that, and mainly it's because maybe they feel embarrassed or hesitant because their books are a mess and they haven't fixed it in years,
Sure.
in some scenarios. And then, and then it stops them from also preparing their taxes because they don't have books, and then, all of this stuff. But we have been there with clients. Like, it happens in a lot of businesses, not just this industry, in every industry where people fall behind. It's actually normal.
Yeah.
Because when you're going into entrepreneurship, there's so many things to take care of, and compliance items like bookkeeping and taxes, kind of, you don't want to think about it. So what we do is, like I said, we will get you caught up for all the years that you are needing to get caught up. So that way you can file your taxes. You can know your business better as far as the numbers go. And after we do that, always, it's like, thank you so much. I'm so happy I'm in the right track now. And it's a piece of mind.
Yeah.
Really, just taking that off of their plate. We do have a privacy policy within our firm, and a confidentiality agreement where we have our clients sign, and we sign on that end too. So, all of the information is kept, in between us.
Cool.
And so really the reason why you want an accountant or a bookkeeper, CPA, like you said, Brian, it's really so that they can guide your business by letting you know your numbers, your profit and loss, and your balance sheet and your cash flow statement, kind of turning those reports on its head and translating that back to you.
Amen to that. Well,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that a lot of you guys know my friend Mike Bedell. He pulled me aside one day about 5 years ago because I was really turning the corner. I'm like, hey, I'm ready to crush my lawn care business. And he's like, dude, you can't just grow. You got to start paying attention to your numbers and build this foundation to build this house or this skyscraper for some of you guys that want to build these larger companies, right? So having a good quality bookkeeper is very important.
Hi, it's Mr. Producer, and these days I wish I was a producer of gas. Maybe I should clarify, gasoline. Thanks to Joeflation, prices at the pump are nuts. Everything costs more. Do you have a plan on how you're going to raise your rates this year? You don't? Well, that's okay, because the Launchpreneuracademy.com can help. Brian has a time-tested price adjustment letter that you can add your specific info to and then email or mail to your clients. The letter's only $49, but it's going to make you 7 to 12% more in profit this year. Scared money? Don't make no money. Now you don't have to be scared about how you're going to professionally communicate with your customers so you can remain profitable. The link for the price adjustment letter is in the show description.
I had a question somebody asked earlier. When should someone get a bookkeeper? I mean, is it something that they should get right out of the gate? I've heard other people say 50 grand a year revenue, 100 grand a year revenue. Maybe no right or wrong answer, but what do you normally see out there? When should people adopt a bookkeeper and have somebody like that on their team?
Yeah, that's a good question, Brian. Yeah, there's no straightforward answer, I would say, but if maybe you're someone who just started off and you're just getting into this industry and you're trying to figure it out, you may not even be in this industry. You may exit after 6 months or a year. If you're in that type of mindset, I wouldn't really invest into a bookkeeper just yet until this is the industry I want to be with. I'm in it for the long haul, and you're looking to grow your business, and you're looking to really make informed decisions along the way from day one. And I would say, yes, of course, hire a bookkeeper. And yeah, so it's really not like, if you're someone who has been in business and you're not keeping up with your books, I would say at a minimum monthly to look at a profit and loss and balance sheet, then it's time. It's time because you need to have that information on a monthly basis at least.
Well, let me ask you this. What's the pros of somebody, and by the way, I'm not here to sell you guys on Cycle CPA or to sign up with a bookkeeper. I'm telling you guys, practically speaking, this is what changed Liz and I's life more than probably anything, even maybe more than getting my pricing right. I mean, I think my business self-image and then my books, because it's from my books I realized we weren't making the money I thought we were making. We were messy, we were sloppy. And so that's actually something I want to talk about. Let's talk about the upside. Somebody who's got great books, what compared to somebody who is kind of has their financials in a mess, what's the upside of somebody having clean books? Some quick things that come to mind is SBA loans, PPP loans, a mortgage, a loan for a truck, right? Can you talk about somebody who has great financials? What is that going to do for them long term?
Yeah, no, if somebody has great financials and they're always up to date, then they're able to file estimated quarterly taxes based on their true numbers. They're not overpaying or underpaying in the to the IRS or their state. Another thing is that, loans. If you're looking to inquire, to a bank and for loans, or even in some states, if you're looking to get a contractor's license, they ask for your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement. Then you're able to submit that. And we've taken on a couple of clients that they that was their main priority. Like they said, I don't even have a balance sheet. My bank is asking me for a balance sheet to qualify for this loan. So that's really important. And then another thing is that once we get you up to date with your books and then maintain that, then we're actually able to get to the fun stuff that we like, the benchmarking and the guiding you through your pricing and, the key performance indicators, because we can rely on those numbers now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is not a selling, pitch or anything. Like I said, if you guys want to sign up with Cycle, I think code Brian or whatnot, or if you mention our name, save you $200 to sign up towards their services. Maybe they have to clean up some of your books on the back end. I actually had to do that, or $200 towards the monthly fee to have Carla and her team take care of your books. We'll probably get at that at the last second here. But here's my question for you. Not a salesy question, but a salesy question for you is, what makes Cycle CPA so different, right? Because you're talking about there's bookkeepers everywhere. Why not just go down the road and go hire the local guy on Google reviews that has 20 one-star reviews? Why Cycle CPA?
Yeah, that's a good question. So apart from that, we just specialize in this industry. I think anybody could say, yeah, I'm a bookkeeper and I just specialize in whatever industry, right? But we've invested so much time, materials, energy into coming up with these key performance indicators for this industry and the benchmarking. That's why we're able to tell you, okay, Brian, it looks like you're overspending on materials. Or we need to walk through your pricing because your pricing is too low for the area that you live in. Or maybe your pricing is correct, but maybe your materials are you're overspending on your materials and you don't have a process for checking that spending, right? You don't have like a quality control on that end. So we're able to let you know, okay, you're over leveraged in that because we spend so much time looking at what the industry is doing and what is normal for this industry. And we have that information, I've spent hours like analyzing BrightView's financial statements, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And not just theirs, but also we have clients, we have over 100 clients within this industry. So we learn from them every day. Wow. And so we're able to relay that information to others.
So if your car's acting up and you have a domestic, you don't take it to a European mechanic, right? If you have if you have a Mercedes, you don't take it to the corner Jiffy Lube necessarily. You want to take it to somebody who does Europeans, right, or foreign cars. So you guys are niche down. You guys eat, sleep, breathe, talk, lawn care, and that's something that somebody asked earlier. Nobody's ever going to pay attention to my company as much as me. I get that. I totally agree. But you got to find somebody who's equally passionate about the industry and what they do. And I think that's you guys, honestly, because you've been, like you said, niche down to lawn care landscaping. It's not like you're doing, Frank's ice cream shop one night, and then the next day you're doing with somebody's small tire change place,
Exactly.
That's awesome. One other thing I wrote down here, this was something that is really relatable to so many guys, is I like being able to track your numbers real time on QuickBooks, and you can do that with a great bookkeeper entering all that information in. Let me give you guys maybe a really practical example. Let's say Carla and her team have been managing your books for 7 months, right? You just signed up, and you notice the 7th month, or on your 6th month, you were spending $700 a month on gas, or realistically these days, $1,500 a month on gas, right?
Yeah.
Gas is going through the roof. But you notice, you guys know what I'm saying. It's $1,500. And then all of a sudden you hired a new guy, or you promoted somebody to a foreman, and you gave them their your company credit card. And so then you notice that your gas 1 month was $2,500. Kind of weird. So $1,500, $2,500, $1,500, $1,500. So what's up with that $2,500 month? Well, number one, if you didn't have a bookkeeper and you didn't have your financials, you wouldn't even honestly probably have known what your costs were that month. But number two, if you have that, Carla, you can talk about that. You guys would notice that, and then you could have a conversation with them saying, hey, did you do your revenue was the same? So talk about that, because I'm sure little examples like that happen all the time.
No, it does. It happens a lot. So, for some of our companies, we meet on a monthly basis. And what we do is we do a rolling budget or a cash flow forecast.
Okay.
And so we go over budget versus actuals. And so when we budget for certain things and then we see that a certain item is higher, it's like, oh yeah, why is that? Let's look into that. Oh, I didn't know that happened. I have to go and ask so-and-so about that. Thank you for bringing that up. And no, this was out of scope. Or even if we aren't meeting monthly and we're meeting quarterly, these are things that one of our steps in our checklist, in our process, in the accounting firm is look for any large variances that may have happened year over year or month over month and ask about that.
Yeah, we're talking about theft, if you guys can read through the lines. And a multitude of other things, right? So It's always nice to have somebody on your team is equally as passionate about your business as you are. And I'm like I said, I'm not here to do a whole pitch for Cycle. I honestly just want to have Carla just be a resource for you guys. We both have no notes. We're just coming out of the abundance of what we're both excited about and passionate about to try to help you guys out. Carla, I have a couple questions that I was writing down. Let's talk about cost. That's the elephant in the room. What's a bookkeeper cost? What do you guys cost? What's the there's different tiers that folks can sign up with you guys at. That's probably the spiel that a lot of people are probably waiting for. What does a bookkeeper cost? And can you go into that and let everybody know the lay of the land for Cycle?
Yeah. So if you're someone who's just starting out, maybe it's yourself or you have one other employee, our cost for that would be $250 per month. And really what that gets you is the monthly bookkeeping, your monthly financials, and then the quarterly, more advisory CFO level of meeting. Okay. So, and then, like I said, we can meet with you monthly, and then with the monthly, you do get the cash flow forecast, and that's around $500 to $600 or so. And then after that, we have our other package that's a CFO package, which is over $1,000.
Awesome. Okay, cool deal. Well, and that's pretty typical industry standards. It's $200 to $250 to $300 a month for a good quality bookkeeper. I was just on a coaching call with somebody yesterday morning. The guy's doing like $75,000 already his first year in business. And he was like, how do you manage all of this? And I'm like, I don't. I have no idea. I said, well, I've got great bookkeepers. Everything's linked up, synced up, all of our CRMs, all this mess. And so I was talking to him about Cycle, of course. And I said, you got to get a bookkeeper, bro. And great dude from New Jersey. He might be on the live stream, so I don't want to say his name. But really, really nice guy. And he's like, all right, I need to reach out to Carla and her team because he wants to take this thing to a couple $100,000 a year. And I said, you don't want to get that big if you don't have the right infrastructure in place. I said, you don't want to implode. And he already was. You could tell he was stressed out. He's got the shoebox full of receipts. He's like, he's like, I got my cash flow all over the place. And I'm like, you need to build a team and get some great people around you. And that way they can focus on the things that you don't have time to focus on, right? I always say on our content, Carla, like, we're lawn care guys, we're landscapers. Like, I don't get paid 9s and 10s. I don't get paid good money to go do my own books. I'm awful at it. I get my craft, my skill time, my craft time is cutting grass, slinging mulch. Some of you guys doing landscaping, laying bricks. So let Carla be a 10 at what she does. You be a 10 at what you do. And now you both are winning at 10s and your team is growing like crazy, right? So I'm really excited about that. Carla, what's some questions that you wish you get asked, or what's some of the maybe FAQs, kind of open mic here, but what's something that you wish people would ask you, or something about bookkeeping, or like your best nugget? I don't know, just talking out loud.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I would say more questions about cash flow and how cash flow is so important to your business and how it's directly tied to your profit and loss and your balance sheet. If you knew, or if you had someone to help you translate those so that you could create better cash flow, and so you could diagnose where are your problem areas. Because what happens is during the slower months, a lot of the companies are ending up in the same position they were in the year prior. Just low cash flow, kind of worried about, keeping up with their payroll, or even their fixed costs.
Okay.
And so really, cash flow is tied directly, like I said, to your profit and loss. And so some businesses, in order, to increase cash flow, your net income has to be, a little higher. So for example, design build industry, and within this industry, your net income has to be a little bit higher because your cash flow has to be higher, because you don't receive that recurring money and like you do with your maintenance. You're not billing every month and so on. And so just with maintenance, you have that recurring cash flow, but maybe your net income may be a little bit lower. So how are you able to save in order to invest in another truck, add another crew and so on? So just the importance of that and how it all relates to your profit and loss and balance sheet.
I like it. I like it a lot. I wanted you to talk for, if you don't mind, for a quick second about making investments into your company. Like, some of us are afraid to invest. We want to buy a new truck, a new mower, and sometimes you can, but you don't know if you don't have good books or good financials or good budgets. Gosh, this whole conversation would warm my friend Mike Bedell's heart. I'm sure his ears are burning right now. He's my financial guy, right? If he happens to watch the live stream replay later, he's probably back at home right now with his money machine counting money. But anyway, dinner over here, Carla. But so talk about that for a quick minute. Those reports can talk to you, and you can walk that client through those budgets and those cash flow projections, right? And let's say somebody wants to buy a Toro Dingo or a new truck, and it's $700 a month. Talk about that for a quick second, if you don't mind, what that can do for a company, and having an outside perspective saying it's okay to go buy that piece of equipment.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, certain assets that you're going to buy, they're going to generate revenue, but it's going to have an upfront cost. Even if you finance it, maybe you'll have a down payment, right? So first we have to diagnose the balance sheet, and we calculate a ratio to see whether you're buying assets too often or too infrequent. So that's our first step. And if we see that you're within the ratio that we usually calculate, we say, okay, you're good to go on that end. Then we want to see if you have the right cash flow to be able to afford the monthly payments.
Sure.
If you do, then that's fine. And then the second thing is we want to forecast how much revenue that new investment's going to bring in, how much time is it going to save, and how much added costs. So if you have a new machinery or equipment, that's going to generate some costs on that end, right? The monthly payment, fuel, insurance, all of those items that you don't think about is going to increase. But the revenue that you generated should outweigh the costs. And
Sure.
how long is it going to take before you break even? And then how much should you build into your estimates to recoup that new asset, right? So
That's good.
we can let you know all of that good stuff with our forecasting, and even with our just quarterly KPIs that we calculate. And one other thing that we keep track. So let's say that, okay, we spoke with a client about this, and we're on the same page, and they go out and they buy that Toro Dingo, right?
Yep.
So within these next couple of months, we want to monitor that asset efficiency, whether it's creating the revenue that we set out to create, or whether it's increasing efficiencies out in the field. So what we do is we'll monitor those ratios later on during those months and see, well, it's paying off. Look, the numbers are translating that. And so
Yeah.
It doesn't stop there, like give you the green light, but then it's also monitoring afterwards.
I love it. I actually did a podcast with Garrett. What's Garrett's last name? You guys know who I'm talking about. G&M Outdoors. It's actually going to be dropping in the next couple of weeks. And they're talking about the utilization of their equipment and how all their bulldozers and excavators and all the equipment they have, how it's literally booked out. It's working 24/7. I mean, business hours. So when they go to their bank and they want another piece of equipment, the bank's like, okay, well, I can see these assets generating revenue.
Yeah.
And so the bank is just like, all right, let's keep it going, keep it growing, yeah, because of how well they're utilizing the asset. And so here's my biggest point, or maybe takeaway from this whole conversation, is like having somebody on your team that you can have financial conversation with is extremely important. And I know we're so busy mowing lawns and the rain's coming. Blades LLC, Garrett is a smart dude. They really are. Garrett and I forget his girl's name, or sister's name, Maria or Marla, or I should know that one. But anyway, great people. But that's my point. Like, I have financial conversations all the time with my wife, and then also Mike Bedell. We're plowing snow for 3 hours, and we're not talking about sports or stupid stuff. I'm like, Bedell, help me out. What do I need to be doing? What do I need to be thinking? Right? Blade says Marlena. Yes, I was close. They're super smart people. Carla, you got like 5 more minutes? I said we'd go for a half hour. We started a few minutes late, but I want to be respectful of your time. You got like maybe 5 more minutes?
Of course.
Okay, cool deal. We did have some questions come in through Instagram. Somebody said, how much should we be making to hire for a bookkeeper? We already talked about that. Quick question, and I don't know if you have like an official answer on this, but do I buy a company truck in my personal name or my company name? It looks like they're a sole proprietor. What's maybe like a broad answer on that one?
Yeah, so if you're a sole prop and maybe you don't have the established credit yet, you can buy it under your personal name and still claim it under the business. And then maybe later on you can switch the title over to the business whenever, that's available. But whenever you're able to put it under the business name, then that's the route to go.
I love it. Somebody said, Paxton Grounds, he said, and thank you for answering that. Paxton Grounds said, what percentage on average do you get back in taxes if you do your write-offs properly?
No, there's no percentage on that. It really, and this is the answer that most tax CPA said. It depends.
Yep.
It really does. It depends on whether you're making your quarterly estimated tax payments, whether you pay yourself a check if you're established that way as a business owner, and then all of your other write-offs within your personal life.
Absolutely. Northern Lawns and Landscape, that was your question. You bet, brother. See, guys, whatever I can do to help you guys grow. And I like your answer there. It varies. It depends, right? Because here's the biggest thing I'll tell you guys. If you're struggling in your dreading tax season, right? Mm-hmm. I used to dread tax season forever because I was playing defensively, or I wasn't even playing anything. I was just getting lambasted in March and April. And I would just always get sticker shock with how much I owed or how much I did pay in or didn't pay in. Or or even we paid in too much and we're getting a refund, which I could have been using that money all year to grow, right? Buy equipment, make investments, payroll, labor, right? So if you're dreading tax season, February, March, April, and you're freaking out, I'm telling you, a good quality bookkeeper is your ticket. And here's why. Arguably, and Carla, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but arguably your CPA is going to basically prepare your books based off of what your bookkeeper is doing. So they're taking the data from your bookkeeper. The CPA is taking the data that your bookkeeper is giving them. So that's why you have to have a good quality payroll person, a good quality bookkeeper. All these reports are what your CPA is arguably doing your taxes on. So if you're tired of overpaying in taxes, or you don't know what you owe quarterly, or you're overpaying or underpaying and you're getting fees or interest, maybe the root issue is having a good quality bookkeeper. And again, I'm not selling you guys on a bookkeeper. I'm not selling you guys on Cycle. I'm telling you what's worked for me, right? That's my philosophy of all my content that I try to help you guys out with. I just didn't have a GPS. I had no idea what was going on with my books, with my company. And thank God for Mike Bedell. Shout out to Mike. If it wasn't for him, I'd still be a financial mess. So, Carla, I have another quick question. I want to talk about the EIDL and the PPP loans, not specifically about them, but I want to talk about, and you can probably relate to where the question is going to go, is folks that qualify to get those loans, and I'm not going to get into like if they're good, if they're bad, if they got mismanaged and all that mess. It's a whole other story. Mm-hmm. But talk about the folks that qualified for them had to have their ducks in a row. And that was arguably free money, right? It's nothing's free, but they were going to already spend the trillions of dollars anyway. And I felt my heart went out to a bunch of people in 2020 because they didn't qualify for some of these things because they didn't have their ducks in a row. So can you talk about that with having good books again? I just really want to hit that one more time with the loans or getting a mortgage, buying a new car, right? It's really important to have your financials in order.
Yeah, no. For all of our clients that were on during that time, thankfully we were able to, everything was up to date because we keep it up to date every month. So it was so easy and so fast to get them in the door and apply for those loans, and then they got automatically approved. And then unfortunately for people who were either behind on their books, we did the best, and we were able to, get them in. But I have come on now, they're like, oh, like I wish I had you guys before because I couldn't get the PPP loan or the EIDL and so on. And it was because they didn't have books or they weren't running payroll the correct way. And no, it really is unfortunate, but we really tried to help as many people as we could.
Yeah. I mean, our company got tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars and it was forgiven. And like, think about it. I spent a couple grand a year on bookkeepers and I got 10x that back from the PPP. Hate it or like it, this or that, whatever you guys want to talk about. How those funds could have got distributed. Right? That's a whole way other conversations. But the point is, if you didn't have good quality books and you didn't have good quality 941s and all this other mess from your payroll, you wouldn't have been able to qualify for those loans. And so, here's one thing I want to talk about for a quick minute, Carla, and maybe you can weigh in and talk about your education even for a second. Like, people are like, well, I got a bookkeeper. My mom does it. Or my wife does it, or my spouse does it, my husband does it. And I'm not opposed to people like self-managing their own QuickBooks, right? But at the same point, here's my attitude, and maybe you can, take it from here. But your wife's not like QuickBooks certified. She, with all due respect, or your husband, like they got life going on too. They're raising the kids and trying to cook dinner and mow the lawn, right? Like your spouse isn't necessarily probably the first person you should have managing your books. Can you talk about people you see do that, and then maybe your background and your team and what you guys invest in for education?
Yeah, that's true, Brian. So I myself am a CPA, so bachelor's, master's, CPA exam, all of that.
Smart people.
And then our accountants, they at least have a bachelor's degree. They're not even just associates, QuickBooks certified, they have bachelor's degree and they know about accounting. And so QuickBooks is great because it really dumb things down for the business owner. It's made for business owners, not really for accountants. And so it could look really user friendly. And so that's what attracts business owners to QuickBooks. It looks really user friendly. Like, I get the hang of this. I know what I'm doing. I think I can pawn this over on my wife or whoever. But really where the value comes into play with hiring a professional is that when we're entering or categorizing transactions, we're really thinking about that transaction. Is this a leasehold improvement, or is it an asset that needs to go on your balance sheet and not just expense? I've seen, loans not being reconciled every month, and interest expense not being deducted, or you're not taking advantage of depreciation expense at the end of the year for taxes because that wasn't even put on the books. And then your equity is not being tracked correctly, which causes major issues when you are a corporation or a S corporation or a partnership. It really causes a lot of issues when you're not tracking your equity, because you have certain benefits when you do track your equity correctly and you pay yourself. You're able to take distributions tax-free, but first you need to track that correctly. And I don't think that if you're not really specifically an accountant or trained on that, you would be able to do that. And so the kind of messes that I've seen, Brian, is overstatement of over 100,000 in revenue.
Wow.
Reconciliations that were forced, like just like a plug number in,
yep.
From non-accountants. And it's hard for us to hire bookkeepers, or accountants, I should say. It's hard for us. We go through hundreds and hundreds of resumes. So even when someone within the green industry does hire an in-house bookkeeper, sometimes they'll hire us to look over that work.
Sure.
Because it's just anybody can say they're a bookkeeper, really. Right. And so,
absolutely.
Well, I just seen crazy messes.
Yeah, and that was the fun conversation my wife and I had a couple years ago. She's like, "Well, I'll manage the books," and I'm like, "You hate numbers. I hate numbers, like to a degree, right?" And I'm like, "You're not my assistant or my secretary. You're my wife." And we didn't. And some people have their wife manage the books or their husband manage the books. It's totally cool. My point is, we both knew we didn't want to do it, and we both knew it had to get done. And so our point was, we're farming this out, right? Let me actually, I had one other quick question, and then somebody said, and this might be more of a CPA question, what's the point of paying your taxes quarterly versus annually? What's a benchmark? Isn't it a certain amount of taxes that you have to owe federally that you have to start paying in quarterly?
Yeah, so...
Sorry. Did you get the question?
Yeah. What's the difference between paying quarterly or at the end of the year?
Yes.
Yeah. So, during the year, you may have to pay taxes quarterly based on your net income that you're making within the business. So if,
Gotcha.
During quarter one, you're going to look at your profit and loss, and you're going to have your CPA kind of calculate what you would owe in quarterly taxes based off of that quarter's profit and loss. And so that's what you remit to the IRS. And that is required because they don't want you to have this huge tax bill at the end of the year, and owe a lot of taxes from the whole year. So you're making install payments quarterly. And then at the end of the year, that gets trued up, whether, you get a little refund or you have to pay a little back. So that's the whole point, is so that you don't get hit with the large tax bill at the end of the year.
Yeah, I also had a friend say it's also because the government's broke and they want their money, and they don't and they don't trust you to pay at the end of the year, right? So,
Exactly.
You owe $80,000, to the federal government. They want their quarterly taxes so they can buy their aircraft carriers. You know what I mean? So, That's funny right there. All right, last two questions I got, and we'll button this thing up. Here's a question, personal question I wrote. What's your best resource that you would recommend to like a new client to help them maybe get on a better wavelength with you guys? A book like Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad was a really good financial book for me. Helped me really understand a lot of simple terms, and asset versus liability and all these different things, right? Any personal resource that you like, a website, a book, a YouTube video that helps you or helps your clients?
Yeah, I like the Iniguez landscape contractor, and I like it because it's all based on like a mindset of having in place within the business, and how that is really the foundation within your business. Because if you don't have that, you can't really grow or scale up. And I think when we do onboard clients, like we have a goals section within our onboarding forms, and most of that reads to get out of the business, like or step away from the field. And the way you're going to do that on policies, procedures, processes. That's the only way you'll be able to step out of the field. And so that would be a recommendation of ours. And then translating their financials and so on. There's so many good books out there, and so many, YouTube videos. I would say that you would have to focus in on maybe learning like the basics of a profit and loss and balance sheet. But during our quarterly meetings, we explain that in depth, especially if it's your first time. And we take in all the questions, so that way we're all on the same page moving forward.
I like that. That's huge. One personal one for me was Robert Kiyosaki had an older book out called Increase Your Financial IQ or Financial IQ. And, talking money is like the bookkeeping and CPA and balance sheets and cash flow and all this mess. It's like the tip of the iceberg, right? There's the rule of 72. There's 2836. There's so many things about numbers and finances that Carla went to school for, a decade for. But it's important stuff to learn. And frankly, you don't learn it anywhere else, right? It's kind of frustrating. So, Carla, last question I have for you. If people want to learn more about Cycle CPA, do you have a place where people can find you? And then also, I think you guys have another webinar coming up in March. Is that right?
Yes, we do. We do.
Okay.
March 9th. So if you want to learn more, please visit cyclecpa.com or send me an email at carlap@cyclecpa.com. Talking about books, Brian, I actually wrote a book explaining assets, liabilities, profit and loss, and key ratios you should track within the green industry, and also key performance indicators, the benchmarks, and all of that good stuff. So, shoot me a DM if you want a free copy of the ebook.
I love it. Well, we super appreciate your time. Appreciate you jumping on late night, weeknight. I know you got family, a lot of stuff going on, and super appreciate you guys big time. Any open mic, if anybody has any last questions, drop them down below. But Carla, any last thing you want to leave all these guys that have been listening in and watching or watching the replay later on?
Yeah, no, for sure. I would say that if you're using a CRM third-party app, and that's all you have to keep track of your numbers, please get an accounting system like QuickBooks or Xero, whatever you're using. Start tracking your numbers on there, and start entering in your expenses and being able to pull a profit and loss and balance sheet at least on a monthly basis to be able to see your numbers, able to pivot on your estimates if you need to, with all of these costs that are rising right now, especially.
I love it. One other person asked, what was the name of your ebook?
It's a Green Industry CFO ebook.
All right, cool deal. Actually, I don't know if I've read that. So can you send that to me? I want to check that out.
I will.
And if it's $10 or PayPal, I'll PayPal you, whatever you need.
That's free. It's free. So anyone can have it.
I like it. One other question, pose Jersh, owners, draw, or pay yourself on W-2. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you take it away. You're the pro.
Yeah, no worries. So if you're being taxed as a sole proprietorship, then you will take an owner's draw. So you won't process your payment through payroll. So single member LLC or sole prop or being taxed as a sole proprietorship, that's what you'll do. And if you are an LLC that's being taxed as an S corporation, a corporation, then you will pay yourself a salary through a W-2, because that's the way you need to pay yourself for those business entity structures.
Awesome. I love it. Great answer. And I'm learning a bunch. I hope you guys are too. This has been just a really good time. Here's one thing I just want to tell you guys, not to put the fear of God in you, but honest answer. I'm a big compliance guy. Get your books in order. The last thing I want to see is somebody freak out because they're going to get audited. In actuality, if I was to get audited right now, I'd be cool as a cucumber. Do I want to be? No. But if I did, I would literally turn my laptop around and I'd have my CPA, but I would have I'm an open book. Check out whatever you want. We've got receipts for everything. Everything's categorized correctly. We paid our quarterlies, anything extra we owe at the end of the year, all that mess. I'm a big compliance guy because I don't want to live in fear of an audit or owing money. Taxes are the number one thing that put people out of business, guys. State, federal, and your sales tax, right? So don't get behind on your books. Don't get behind on your taxes. And as soon as you can, in my opinion, when's the best time to hire a bookkeeper? As soon as you can. I don't care if you have 10, 20 grand a year coming in. I've always said this on our podcast, a good professional will save you or make you more than they cost. All right. So that's my honest assessment about anybody you have that trying to hire on your team. All right. So that's what I got. Carla, we do have a promotion. What's our promotion one more time? You guys know better than I do. What do we have going on for them?
Yeah. So if anybody wants to use your promo, it's Brian for $200 off.
Cool. Awesome. And that can be towards reconciling their books and kind of getting all get the mess in order.
Yes. Getting you up to date or based on your recurring monthly fee. Cool. It could be applied to either or.
I love it. Awesome. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, that's what we got going on right now. Shout out to all of you guys. If you guys want to heart the video or double tap or like or whatever, we super appreciate it. We've had so many great celebrities join the podcast or the podcast, the Instagram Live. We've had the Almonds on here. We've had Dylan Stevenson, which Solo Cuts Landscaping. He's actually my biggest fan, which is awesome. And so many other great folks. But any which way, guys, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. Hopefully these questions in this Q&A helped you guys out. If you want us to do it again, maybe leave a comment. I'm trying to get Carla on selfishly as much as possible. She's a plethora of knowledge. And Carla, what do you think? Do you think maybe we can get you on again next 4 or 5 weeks? Maybe we can talk some other topics. What do you think?
Of course. I'm ready. I'm up for it. And I appreciate you having me on, though. I really like this.
Yeah, amen to that. All right, girl. Well, that's what I got for you guys today. We'll probably shut down the IG Live. If you guys have questions, follow-up questions, leave them as a comment or shoot Carla a DM. She answers the Instagram for them at Cycle, and she's always available to help you guys out. So, Carla, thanks again. We really appreciate you, and you have a good rest of the night and weekend, all right?
All right, you too. Thanks.
All right, see you guys. Bye.
You're probably listening to this podcast because you want some momentum heading into the spring rush. If you've made the decision to go all in on your lawn care business, then the whole ball of wax at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com is the fastest route to starting strong and putting your company in the best position for success in 22. The whole ball of wax is everything Brian Fullerton offers at LawnTrepreneur Academy at half the price of purchasing every training course, program, and resource individually. And right now, you can save 10% with the code SPRINGRUSH. Not only do you get instant access to everything on the site, along with a one-on-one coaching call with Brian, you get lifetime updates to all the courses, and when new programs come online, those are yours for free. Pause the podcast. Go to LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com, click on the store tab, and use the code SPRINGRUSH at checkout to save 10% on the legendary whole ball of wax.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.